You've got friends who've got clothes that can't be here.
No, I know. I've got, there was a few friends that couldn't make it tonight.
Two absent friends. So, I mean, there's a lot to get through. So we probably won't, we'll talk about eras. So,
All right.
okay. I mean, I guess maybe there's also people that you work with. So, Mark Vine would have been...
Yes, when I was playing in Palace, I met Mark Vine in a music shop, as you do. I used to go into every music shop looking to buy something. Things haven't changed at all. And I bumped into this guy, Mark Vine, and we became pretty good friends and used to hang out. And he was a fantastic guitarist even then. He was a year or so older than me. After Palace wound up, I joined a band called Toccata, which was hilarious because everybody in the band was Italian. Actually, it's almost like Palace. But we used to play top 40 Italian hits from Italy, and we used to do all the Italian clubs.
Do you play Romanos?
I don't know. Usually the Perth Italian Club and the Fremantle Italian Club, all those kind of things. But we played to all the young Italians that were listening to the top 40 from Italy. And actually, you said, did I read music? Well, actually, I read it reasonably well in those days because I used to just get charts. And I actually had no idea how the original song went. I used to just play it all off charts. And I was in that band for a little while. And then I lost my driver's license because I was a bit of a hooligan. And I got kicked out of the band because they were in the northern suburbs and they got tired of coming and picking me up all the time in Spearwood.
With a big bass amp?
Yeah, with a bass amp and, and anyway, so I sat around for a while with no license and used to go out occasionally with friends and we'd go and watch a band. And then one day, there's a knock on the door and it's, because there's no mobile phones or anything. Actually, we didn't even have a phone for quite a long time. But there's a knock on the door and it's a guy called Phil Brenzy, drummer. And he used to, when I was in Palace, he played in a band called Pendulum, which were like, we used to like do the same circuit. So you kind of knew each other, but not really, because you always played in the same nights. But anyway, he heard I wasn't playing and he goes, oh, we're putting together a band. And I went, oh yeah. And he says, we've got this 5-hour gig.
He said, no one's ever said that to me before.
No.
Put together a band.
Yeah, putting a band together. And he goes, we've got this 5-hour gig that's paying really well. So we're going to have a rehearsal on Monday and the gig's on Saturday. And I went, yeah, okay. So anyway, he's driving me around at this stage because I still don't have a license, but fortunately he lived in Spearwood as well, so it wasn't fun. So I turned up at this rehearsal and Mark Vine's playing guitar. I didn't know he'd been co-opted into that band as well because unbeknown to me, he was a really good friend of Phil Brenzy. So we formed a band and we had to think of a name. Here's another band name I thought of, Pastel City. Pastel City.
Sounds hardcore.
Yeah. It actually didn't suit what we were doing whatsoever. But it was I was looking through books at Mark's house one day and he had this sci-fi book called The Pastel City and I thought that'd be a good name for a band, so we had that. And what happened is we got together and we had this one rehearsal for this 5-hour gig and the singer, I can't remember his name now, he was great. He knew like hundreds of songs. And we'd do all kinds of songs. It was like Dr. Hook songs and all this stuff, all these kind of songs from the era. And to fill in time, we learnt about 3 hours of 50s rock and roll because we all knew that stuff. And I knew that stuff from listening to all the records way back. So we quickly threw, what key is this in? Yeah, okay, we play 3 bars of it. Yep, that's good. We got that one. We'll write that on the list, So we did this gig and we thought, this band's actually pretty good. And around the same time, American Graffiti turned up at the drive-ins. And suddenly there's a 50s rock and roll revival. And we already knew 3 hours of it. So we immediately got all these gigs for people that wanted to do all that 50s.
I thought you were going to say you were playing gigs, but everyone was at the drive-in watching.
No. They all came. We actually, and we were playing pretty regularly, usually. And one of the funny gigs we had was the Cleopatra Hotel, Cleo's, in High Street. Used to have bands every night of the week. Sorry. And we got the Resident Monday. And everyone nowadays would go, Monday? Well, every Monday we had a full place because every night of the week everybody went out. They didn't wait for the weekend. People just went out on any night. So we played there for about, 6 months on a Monday. So that was one of our funny residencies that we had.
Yeah. And there's different bands you've got here.
Oh, we better move that ahead,
Robber's Dog, who reformed as King Rat.
Yes, that came about. That's Mark Vine again. So, during Pastel City days, Mark went to London, so we ended up with a different guitarist. And after about 6 months, Mark turned up again, and he goes, "Leave that band, leave the band that's making loads of money, and come and join this band with me," which was really good. So I left and joined this band with Mark, and that band was called Warlord. And really it wasn't heavy metal at all, it was just heavy blues kind of thing. That went along for a while. Then we got Frank on drums. He came and we swapped drummers, and Frank, he plays with me and Andrew now, Frank Chanel. I was still doing an apprenticeship while all this was going on because I had to have a real job apparently. That was the thing at home. You've got to have a real job. So I had a real job. So basically I slept about 2 hours a day. That was it. I just worked all the time. And
but you were making okay money playing music.
I was making more money playing music than I was in my apprenticeship. But the band decided to go in the northwest, and I had a few months of my apprenticeship left, so I couldn't go. So they took off with somebody else. And I finished my apprenticeship, and I was sitting at home, and the phone rang, and it was Mark ringing from Port Hedland saying, "Bring the PA system and your gear and come to Port Hedland," because the guy they were playing with had the PA system, and he was leaving. And they said, "Oh, come and join us in Port Hedland." And that was great fun. I drove up to Port Hedland it was a January, and I think it was about 52 degrees or something in the shade. The cars then didn't have aircon. You couldn't have the window of the vents open because the air was so hot it burnt your skin. So you just had to shut everything. But of course what you did was you took a big slab of beer with an esky, and everything was worked out on how many cartons it would take to get to Port Hedland. So I drove to Port Hedland, and we stayed up there for many months as the resident band at the Headland Motor Hotel, which it was then. Now it's just a motel, but it was, and we stayed there, and we actually got wages. We were paid. We were actually on wages. We were making good wage.
Hooray for Hollywood.
Yeah, but eventually you get tired of being, the same gig every night. And let's go back to Perth and find our fortune.
But you completed your apprenticeship, right?
Yeah, I finished it then.
And then you did some work with Lou Cash and Co.
Oh, yeah, we jumped ahead a bit there, but we better hurry up, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we came back from there. I went back to work as a contract mechanical fitter because I had no money. We had no gigs in Perth. I don't know why we came back to Perth really. And the band disbanded. Did a short stint as King Rat because we got offered the tour with Mother Goose, who was really, really well known at the time, and they were on the high of the hit single Baked Beans.
Baked Beans, yeah.
So we did a few weeks with them, which was
Noah Shulkin, who was keyboard playing.
Yeah, he's in.
And he's done this.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been in the band at that point.
I think he was. He was the ballerina.
Right.
Yeah, I've got photos. He was a ballerina. You see him now, you think, was he a ballerina?
Yeah,
but anyway, But that was a great experience, and one of the experiences there was the sowing of the seed of setting up large PA systems and light shows, because they had the biggest system touring. Anyway, that came and went, and then when they went, so did all the gigs again. And I went back to being a mechanical fitter, and one day I'm hanging out at the tool store at the refinery, because I kept going back into the refinery because I was trained in there. And I bumped in. Oh,
Now go on.
all right. The guys in the tool store, because everyone knew who I was, because I'd done my apprenticeship there, they said, "Oh, this guy plays music as well," and it was Lou Vanderbilt or something. Oh, I can never pronounce his name, but everyone called him Lou Cash because he looked like
That's
Johnny.
promising.
Well, he looked like Johnny Cash, and he sang Johnny Cash songs, but he didn't sound anything like Johnny.
You smoke like Johnny Cash?
No, he was good. And anyway, he said, "Oh, do you want to play a New Year's Eve gig?" And I went, "Yeah." So we went and had a rehearsal, went and played a duo gig as New Year's Eve, and we played, I think, for the next 3 or so years as Lou Cash & Co. And we did a lot of gigs. Some weeks we did 6 gigs in a week, and sometimes 2 gigs in the same day. You know, we used to do everything from shopping centres on Saturday morning to food halls to scungy suburban taverns with a fight breaking out in the corner, you know. But we also did some really good gigs. We used to have a regular gig at Araluen Reception Centre. We used to be up there most Fridays. You know, we had some good gigs. It was country rock, 3-chord songs, nothing too challenging. Actually, I took up keyboard while I was in that because I was so bored. I actually went and bought a keyboard and just turned up at the gig with it and announced I was going to play some songs on that. And so I did.
Well, that's good of you to let them know.
Yeah, it was only 2 of us, only let Lou know. I just hadn't told him. I said, "Oh, I bought this keyboard." I did practice for a couple of weeks before I took it. But that was really good fun. You know, like I wasn't brilliant on it, but I could play songs on it.
And around this time is it the beginnings of Wits End Studios?
Yes.
83?
I
So we've still got a while to go.
had a setup with the 2 cassette tapes, as I said, and I had the mixing desk from the duo, which I wish I still owned because it's a museum piece. It was the old Sun desk. His Sun was classic 70s equipment. Eventually I saved up and I bought a 4-track reel-to-reel. You know, the one I used to only dream of it looking in magazines. You know, it had the VU meters, big, you know, got to have one of these, and I bought one. And then I bought some more stuff. And I had it set up in the lounge room of the house I was renting at that point. So Wits End started. Wits End Studios was started. It wasn't called Wits End. I was just recording friends. I was getting friends around and recording them for fun, and some of that stuff's still around. Eventually, I ended up going back to work. Because during the Lou Cash era, which is in there somewhere, I actually went back as an adult student and studied engineering. I thought, you know, playing 6 gigs a week isn't enough. I'm bored. Let's go and study engineering as well. So I went and got
that old combo.
Yeah, you know, let's become an engineer. You know, like that's a good. So after the Lou, I did the study, and then the Lou Cash thing finished, and I went and got a job as an engineer, and then I bought a house.
And then, 1985, quit music.
Yes. I got this job, and I bought this house, and I decided to go motor racing. As you do.
You lost your gig because you didn't have a license in 5 years, and later you ended up being a race car driver.
Because part of I was doing, like when I was studying full time and I was playing music, in the near the end of the study, the Lou Cash thing finished up. I didn't have any work, and a friend of mine owned an engine reconditioners, and because I was a machinist, he gave me a few days a week work, and plus the run of the whole place. So on the weekends I could go in and use anything I wanted. So what I was doing is I was building engines. And when I was working for them, they had me machining the parts for the engines for Speedway, because I had a knack of machining things with really tight tolerances. And A normal engine, I just get sidetracked again. A normal engine, you build it and then you run it in nice and gently for a few months until it's worn in, right? You build an engine for Speedway, you put it together, it goes in the car and they take it out and thrash the daylights out of it the next second. So you have to build it very differently. And I was doing that. And then I realised I could make anything go fast. So I decided to go motor racing and I went drag racing with which was my street car at the time, which was a 1965 Mustang Fastback, which I'd bought myself, as you do. I won the...
Well, here's the thing. So you won the 1985-86 street car season trophy, but in 1986-87 in the street car season trophy, you were a runner-up. And I want to ask, what the fuck happened in 1986-87?
Well,
Alan?
Actually, it's an
Apply yourself.
There is actually an explanation. I missed 3 meetings. There were 3 race meetings I didn't go to because I was travelling. I went over to the Adelaide Grand Prix one time, and then I went travelling off somewhere else. And so I thought, I can still win this by missing 3 meetings, and I missed out by a couple of points and got runner-up. But
was that disappointing, or you went?
No, I didn't care. I really didn't care. I was having too much fun.
It sounds like a good time. I don't know. Someone threw my notes away.
So where are we at?
Where are we at? Okay, so that led you to being here and the Radio Fremantle.
Yes.
Meetings. You had a lot of interests.
I did. Never a dull moment. I was like, I don't know, I got involved in lots of things. And I did the Radio Fremantle thing, I did the test broadcast. We did the test broadcast in a caravan on the hill on View Terrace in East Fremantle, where the water tower is. And they hired this caravan, this outside broadcast caravan, and when it turned up, it didn't have anything in it. It basically had 2 turntables. And everybody had prepared stuff on tape.
Weren't the 80s just the Wild West?
They were. So I went back to my studio, which, as it was at the time, and I collected a couple of reel-to-reel players and a couple of cassette players and took them into there and plugged them into the caravan. And then we realised that actually no one knew how to operate anything because we hadn't trained anyone. So I actually sat there for the whole test broadcast pushing buttons and faders while everybody did their show. So I was the producer for the whole test broadcast. It was Friday afternoon, Saturday all day and Sunday all day.
And by Sunday you were...
I had enough.
You had enough?
I had enough. I was ready to go home. Yeah.
I thought more you were kind of like you were an expert. You know?
No, I just through my, doing live stuff and recording, I just knew how it all worked. So that was good. And that test broadcast got us to the second test broadcast, got us to the weekend licence and then the full-time licence.
Okay, and from 87 broadcasting, the Twilight Zone. Then 2 years later you couldn't stay away and you went back into playing live music.
I did.
So you joined the Acme Theatre Company with Peter Nettleton, and then he's obviously had some effect on you because you then formed Stinger and the Sound Blasters with same Peter Nettleton.
Yes, I met Peter Nettleton while we formed Radio Fremantle. He was the lawyer doing the application. And we had a little fundraising gig. And I wanted to go and play it with these guys I was playing with, and they wouldn't do the gig. So I took the keyboard I bought, which had an automatic drum machine and everything, and it was really corny at the time. Well, corny now, but at the time it was state of the art. And I said, well, blow you all, I'm going to play my songs without you. And I just went there with this keyboard and I was singing and playing these songs. And Peter Nettleton, with a few friends, was actually playing as well. And they said to me, oh, you played the keyboard. And I thought, yeah. I said, I'm actually a bass player. And he goes, that's even better. We need a bass player for next weekend to do 2J Folk Festival as the Acme Theatre Company. And the Acme Theatre Company band were the music for the comedy songs that they used to perform. The comedians that get up and sing these songs, and the band would play the music. So I had some hurried rehearsals and went off and did 2J Folk Festival for the first time.
All right.
Yeah, and it was, and I didn't realise how big this was going to be, but this was like a 2-hour show on the main stage in Town Hall. And it was one of the highlights of the weekend, you know, and I'm in it. So we did that for a while. We did that again the following year. We did another show with Carla involved called the Scrumpy and Western Show, which was a whole lot of songs, familiar tunes, with all the words changed to be about cow sheds and milking cows and drinking.
Sounds like a dream.
Drinking cider. It was actually a really fun show. And I had this really good idea that if I took casks of cider and put them along the stage with some plastic cups, that the audience could have free cider. Yeah. So within about half an hour of the show starting, the audience are completely legless, and we've been drinking it as well, and it just got better and better. You know, it was a fantastic show. I wish someone had filmed it. It was really fun, you know. You know, like with tunes like Paloma Blanca, you know, we do, you know, when the moon shines on the cowshed and the sun has gone away. You know, like, you know, all about getting the milk made out.
I remember Tony Barber singing different words to that song on the ad for El Cabello Blanco.
Yeah, very similar, yeah. Anyway, and then we formed Stinger and the Sandblasters, which formed out of the jam nights at the Stone Crow. And at the time I was doing my radio show, which was then located on Canning Highway. My show used to finish at 11 p.m. at those times, and I'd quickly jump in the car, drive across the bridge to the Stone Crow, and get the last 45 minutes of the jam night. And Stinger was there, and we had Dave Howland, we had Victor Fallis, who ran the jam night.
Victor what?
Fallis.
Oh.
It's an Irish name.
Fallis.
Fallis, yeah.
What was his nickname?
Victor. And anyway, we formed Stinger and the Sandblasters, and basically the repertoire was all the songs we'd been doing for the Acme Theatre Company. We just did the songs, and we made an album in 1989. That was the first actual full-length album I recorded in Wits End, which was done on 4-track.
Okay.
In those days, yeah, and the new Wits End Studios, which was now in Chamberlain Street, O'Connor, at the games room around the back of the house. It was funny, I went to buy the house and I walked straight through the house, looked at the games room, and the studio can go there. Walked out the back, there was this big workshop. Yeah, the cars can go in here. And I said, how much is the house? And when I bought it...
Had you looked at like the bedrooms?
No, I hadn't actually seen it. When I bought the house, and the next time I saw it was when I moved in, and I thought, oh, there's a bedroom there, and that must be the lounge room. And I had no interest in the rest of the house. As long as it had a studio space and a garage to put the Mustang in, I didn't care about it.
What was the kitchen like?
That was all right. It got better.
What about, so you formed then a band called Wits End, and it says after creators' differences, you...
We had this...
I guess it was Fuck Wits End, wasn't it?
Yeah, the original Wits End was really good. Some great original stuff. But I made the mistake of letting the other singer, keyboard player, bring a boyfriend in on guitar. And we just could not get on. So in the end, he took her into leaving, which meant basically the band was finished because, you know, all the songwriting was me and her. And so they left, and basically I got kicked out of my own band. They went off and formed a new band. But I rung around and formed another Wits End band, spelled differently, which is how Wits End is spelled now.
Oh, ingeniously.
Yes. And I registered that name as a business name, and that band played for a while. We were more of a cover band though. We didn't do as much original thing, but we did that for a while.
But by this time you have full-time studio PA hire.
Yes, so around the time that band broke up, I was now starting to do more PA systems and recording. And I quit work I went, I can do this. I can be a full-time musician, sound engineer. I don't need to go to work. It is a real job.
And this is where we enter, perhaps, the modern era.
Yes. So
Heads were dancing.
came along around the end of that little stretch, because that was the stretch where the PA was in here. I was doing 4 nights a week here doing sound. I was doing the studio day and night on all the other spare time I had. And I'd even record a band on a Saturday, knock off at 6 and come here and mix here until midnight. And then Sunday be back in the studio.
So you like music then?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't actually playing very much. But the Heads Were Dancing thing, what happened, I was recording an album with a guy called Stephen Childs. I don't know if you remember Stephen Childs. He was a really good singer-songwriter. He used guys from the Com for his band, you know, and in the studio. And he wanted to do a few gigs and he didn't have a band, so he says, oh, I want to put a band together, but I don't want it to be really rowdy because we're going to do all small venues. So we got Mike Brady on percussion. He was playing with Billboards in Space here. I used to do their sound. And we got Carla involved. And we did a few gigs with Stephen Childs, including the one where he locked his keys in the boot when we were on down south. We did Albany and then we did Denmark, and we finished at Denmark and he shut the boot of the car and the keys were in the boot.
Could you do that with a coat hanger?
We had to take the back seat out and I managed to get my hand into the boot and I could feel the jeans with the keys in there. And I pulled the leg of the jeans, right, and just as they got to coming out, the keys fell out. And I caught them. Otherwise, we'd already been there 2 hours by that stage, and this is Sunday night, we're supposed to be driving back to Perth, you know. But anyway, we did that, and then Stephen decided to move to Tamworth, where he still is. He's heavily involved in music in Tamworth. And Mike and Carla and myself went, well, you know, we should form a band. You know, so that's when we called up Tom. Let's get Tom involved. Yeah, no doubt. So we got Tom in, and then we got Gary. Okay, where did we meet Gary? Carla, where do we meet Gary? Don't know.
He's getting lessons from Dudley.
Oh, he's getting lessons from Dudley from Colourblind. Yeah. And Tom's cousin Michael, who I think is still here. Yeah, he was in Colourblind. And so we ended up with Gary in on keyboards. And then I said, the original band didn't have all this drum stuff. We had I said, let's get 2 percussionists. So we got Marcia Flute, who was actually, I met at Old Poppers. She was serving coffees. But she played percussion, so we got her in as well at the beginning. That was the original Heads Were Dancing.
Okay.
And it kicked off from there.
And it went for 15 or so years?
Yeah, it went from that all the way through to 2007 with a few little lineup changes. Gary dropped out of it, Marcia dropped out of it. We got, we had Tim Malone on saxophone. He came in, he was really good, but eventually got a job in Albany, had to go. Then we got Roy Bailey on guitar at one stage. We had a Jimmy Leonard, who we don't know what happened to him. That was the funniest story. We had this great guitar player from England, and he's actually on one of the recordings. We've got his guitar playing. And one day he disappeared off the face of the earth. His phone was disconnected. We didn't see him again. We don't know where he went.
Okay.
And my suspicion is that he was here illegally and he got deported, right? Because that kind of is a nice thing to happen.
Did he like drugs?
No, he just, I think he was just...
That's just the other one.
I think he was hiding under the radar. I think he just... I've actually tried to find him over this a couple of times, but how do you find him? You know, I think he got deported back to the UK, because when they deport you, they literally take everything off you, and you get taken to the airport and put on a flight. That's it, you know, it's all over.
Must have been a bit rattling though, wasn't
Yeah, it was. So he went, and he never did find out that the song he played on was on that album, and also his guitar playing's on the remix from the UK, because we had some songs remixed.
And so what were the, over the 15 years, so how many releases did you do?
Did 4 CDs, yeah, and did a fair bit of stuff. We used to do a lot of gigs. We went to the East Coast once. We did Melbourne and Sydney, did a tour, and then I was thinking that that was fairly difficult. So why don't we just go to the UK? Because it can't be any more difficult than going with Melbourne and Sydney.
Right.
And
were you proven correct?
Yeah, I don't think it was any more difficult, really. It wasn't. It's we just went over to the UK, did Edinburgh Fringe Festival as part of that. Went back the following year to lose some more money. But we had a great time. And then I discovered, after all that we qualified for Austrade. Right. So I found this consultant, and I went and saw him, and I said, I think we qualify for Austrade. And we ended up getting a refund from Austrade that virtually paid everything back that were out of pocket.
Amazing.
It was.
I don't think you get...
And the Freo mob.
Oh yeah, the Freo mob. Do you remember the Freo Dockers mob?
They're sitting behind you.
There's some of them sitting behind you. They actually sponsored us as well. They helped pay for the video clips and because we got a few video clips. You can see them on YouTube. There we go. We got some great clips from the Fly By Night Club, the old one.
So you must have played so many gigs. Because also you would have played all sorts of gigs as well, not just venue things.
We used to do, because we used to use all the funding from the gigs to pay for doing things. Like we never really paid ourselves. We'd get the album done, or we'd go on a tour, or everything was about the band. We just, when we went to the UK and we were running at a loss, we'd just do some gigs and pay it back. But we used to be able to pick up council gigs. We used to do the Freo Arts Centre, we did Coburn Council, Manchester. Was it the Potato Festival or something? I don't know. We used to get all these gigs that actually, some of them paid quite well. Mm-hmm. And we were a good band for that kind of thing. They'd put us on in the evening and get everyone jumping around. So we did a lot of gigs.
Yeah, you became a kind of Fremantle staple, beloved entity.
We did. The only reason it really finished up was I think everybody just ran out of steam. It's been going for a fair while. The other thing that happened is, and it happens to a lot of bands, and they don't realise it's happening at the time, but I see it with other bands, is that you have a core audience, and they get older, right? And then what happens is they get married and buy houses and have kids, and suddenly they don't come to every gig. And I think that happens to a lot of bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was happening to us, because the last couple of years we kind of only did 10 gigs a year, and we'll make them really good gigs, and then we'd get people to come. Where early on you'd play every gig you can find, as you do. I think we just got to that stage where it was getting harder to get people to the gig. We were too old to bring in young people, and our crowd was staying at home. So that's just what happens. I think that's what happens to a lot of bands.
I'd say if you, just from tonight, that's like a pretty historic thing. That's, what is that? That's 15 years?
Yeah.
16 years?
Yeah.
That if you were able to, put together a full lineup and do it at an appropriate Fremantle venue, would it probably go on, wouldn't it?
What do you think?
There's all those people, their kids...
You're talking about a reunion here.
Well,
I scared everyone by suggesting these two songs tonight. It was amazing.
And everyone's absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
Right?
It was amazing how much I'd forgotten about those songs until I sat down and actually learned them again. You know, it's but yeah, it's funny when I work on albums, you know, like especially ones like I'm involved in, like Heads Were Dancing. When I finish the album, I put them away. I never listen to them again. And
that's understandable because you have to move on,
and
then you.
I hear all the things I didn't like. You know, it's terrible. You go, oh, that bit there could have been better, and this bit here could have been better. And what happened with Heads Were Dancing is like quite a few years after I stopped playing, I actually got the albums out and put them in the car. And I listen to them now and I can't remember any of the bits I didn't like. It's gone. I can't remember which bits bugged me, or nothing bugged me. And I listen to it now and I go, they're really good albums. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, listening to these two songs over and over, you know, so I can remember the words, or try to. I thought they're really good songs.
Well, how about a full band reunion in May at Clancy's?
I can't see Carla's face, but she's at the back of the room. It looks horrified.
I'll do the sound now.
What's that?
I'll do the sound.
No, you'll be shaking the cabasa, and singing.
The Cabasa.
What? Cabasa. That's what she was shaking,
The Cabasa.
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 Ah.
Yeah, the Cabasa. Shaking the Cabasa to capacity.
You never know. Never say never.
And since then, you've been, you know, lots of work with Sand, live music engineer,
Yeah,
and a bluesman, and a journeyman between suburbs playing blues.
Well, how the blues thing started is I knew Andrew through Mark Viner. And actually, the first time we met was really funny because Mark says, go and visit Andrew. He lives in Victoria, in Frankston, and there's a guitar shop, right? So I go in there and I go, oh, hi, you must be Andrew. I'm Alan. Mark told me to come and see you. And we sat around drinking coffee all day. And we didn't really know each other at all. It's just, Mark thought it'd be great for us to get together and meet. And then, of course, Andrew came over here. And you know, we just connected. I used to go into the Rock Inn and buy something every time I went near the place. But I bought a lot of gear through Andrew's shop, and we used to connect. And one day he said, "You don't know any bass players that like to do British blues?" And I went, "Yeah, I could do British blues."
You always just have this thing over the years where you're just at a shop or something going like, you know anyone who plays bass?
Yeah, but the British blues connection with my early listening was I mentioned Robin Trower at one point. If you haven't listened to any of the early Robin Trower music, it's just completely awesome. I'll tell every young guitarist to go and listen to it. But of course my interest was the bass player James Brewer, and that really influenced me a lot. And then of course the other albums like John Mayall's Blues Breakers, you know, with Eric Clapton. I mean, I had that, you know, all those kind of, that era, you know, I listened to all that stuff as well. So when Andrew said British blues, I'm going, yeah, that'd be good to do that. So we got together, and originally it was totally a cover band, and then eventually we wrote stuff, and then we've done 3 albums now. So, yeah. And Carla wants a song. Oh no, there's the time.
Yeah, what's the time? It's getting there. I know some of you got grandkids to take to school in the morning. It's sorry, 5 to 10. So,
Do you really want a song?
we absolutely want a song. We'll go to about 15:15.
Alright.
So, but firstly, okay, so through Empire Blues, in these last sort of 17 years, Philip and the Dales, Charlie Carter's, the Nick Turner Conspiracy, the Rogues, which is a Pokes tribute, the Lost Cause, and
plus a few others.
plus a few regular stand-ins you've read.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to ask you, and this involves Carla, who's, you know, you're a beautiful couple, and beautifully embraced by Buddhism. And when the Kyoto monks come and visit, things you're very involved in their visits, and you live your lives this way, and it's wonderful. So also, Carla, not just a musical foil, but just a wonderful Fremantle love story, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's his turn to talk about it now.
We've been lucky with a few very special things. I suppose meeting the Kyoto monks over the years, and then arranging the tours through here. Being able to go to the monastery and they treat you like royalty, which is a bit embarrassing. They just love seeing us when we go there. And also, I should mention the other thing, the school in India that we helped get going, which is going really, really well now. We don't really need to help them anymore. They're going well. There was a village school that, when we came across them in the early 2000s, basically they had nothing. And over the years, through fundraising, through house concerts, we raised enough money to build a guest house next door, which made money for the school. And then, and now there's heaps of people helping the school, and it's great. And you can actually, if you ever go to India, folks, go and stay in the guest house. It's a real experience. You're right next to the school. And it's a real Indian experience. It's not like you're not in a town. You're out with the little village and the kids running around, and it's great.
Yeah.
So that was another. I probably would never have done that if I hadn't met Carla. So
And you live a life of music, both of you, and continue to do so. So I think maybe do you reckon you can get 2 more songs in?
yeah, well, I'm just thinking that because I brought the electric double bass, so I need to play one on that as well.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'll think, what do I bring that for?
Yeah. All right, we'll get you to do 2 songs, and
I need to get a glass of water if anyone's near any.
Yeah, there's a little water tank there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll hear some more music, but would you please thank our beloved guest for tonight, Alan Dawson. Alan, fill up this. Alan Dawson. All right, so I'll say, do the admin and say bye now. So thank you to the local hotel for allowing this to be my lounge room on Thursday nights. Thank you to Albert, who helps with the PA, although Alan brought his own in tonight, but Albert was here helping. He's from a great band called New Nausea. Thank you to my darling Celine for doing the door. And thank you all for coming. Next week is Jake Green from the Caballeros. The following week is Savannah Solomon. The following week after that is Lockie John. And the last one will be on December 7. So for the year, I just got to work out who that will be. And then we'll come back sometime next year. So hopefully we'll see you again. Have a good time, a safe time on your way to the weekend. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do a couple of songs from our new album. This first one's Time Heals All, which is about not carrying stuff around in life. Like blaming everyone else for everything. And it's like, by doing that, you're carrying a sack of rocks on your back. You need to put them down and move on. And that's basically what this song's about. To know somebody, but not enough that they are real. The anger and the pain carried from the past. Won't you please, please, please forgive me? Well, I can't take much more of this. Memories of the past, the evil twist. Why don't you just put away the past? Then you'll get some peace of mind at last. I really like to tell you how it feels to know somebody, but not enough that they are real. The anger and the pain carried from the past. Won't you please, please, please forgive me? We'll live on to fight another day. Deep down I know the wrongs we made. Now my time has passed, it starts to fade. I really like to tell you how it feels to know somebody, but not enough that they are real. The anger and the pain carried from the past. Won't you please, please, please? Why don't you please, please, please? Just please, please, please forgive me.
Alan Dawson.
This is a special request. Carla insisted that I do this song. And we've never done it as a duo, so we had to kind of come up with a duo version of this.
Yeah, we haven't.
And we haven't really. So this is Here Goes Nothing, as they say.
Oh dear.
It's a song from the new album called Exotic Spices. It's also Dylan's favourite song. There's a lot of double meanings in this song. Take it whichever way you want. That's what double meanings are. But I wrote it by reading the newspaper. I thought that's always a good way to find interesting things. So let's see how this goes. Double count. It's got 4 count, 3. The smoke as it clears, the strangeness of it all. It stops you in your tracks. I hear an eerie call. Brainwash continues. They try to make us sad. People just want happiness. They know the world's not bad. So much being curious, so much to see it all. Enjoy your time with destiny. It's getting very near. I wonder why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices. I wonder why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices. People stand and say the way it is won't last. But when the band is toppled, why try to hide the past? Through the notes of history, we learn by our mistakes. If you try to erase it all, you may not have a better place. Why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices. I wonder why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices. I wonder why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices. I wonder why it is that you don't have no vices. I see good people fall to strange exotic spices.
There we go. There we go. Well done, fellas. Thank you very much. Have an enjoyable Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Thank you.
and all the days. Thank you. Thank you very much.